I just came back from watching Iron Lung for the second time in theaters, and I'd like to share my thoughts and things I noticed on my second watch through. And this is kind of more of a formal, full, depth review. I did film a 20-minute video with my green screen, and it took 3 days to edit, and I'm not proud of it. I can do better, so I'm remaking it. First thing, Mark's acting is absolutely phenomenal. Absolutely incredible. It's better than anything I've ever seen. It's the best acting I've ever seen. And I'm not just saying that just because it's Markiplier. I really mean it. He just puts so much realness, raw emotion into his acting, and it wasn't fake or flat or stale like 99% of other Hollywood movies. And this movie felt grounded and realistic, and it didn't feel like a film or a set at all. And I think something that helps that movie feel real is that we only follow one character the whole movie, and it's in one room, one location the whole movie. And there isn't any super high light, high contrast, high saturation lighting with swooping camera angles. The camera is grounded, and it helps make the viewer feel in the situation with the character. I said in my last Iron Lung video about a week ago, that this is the best movie I've ever seen. This is the greatest movie I've ever seen. And I'm not just saying that just because it's Markiplier. I truly, truly mean it. This movie made me feel more emotions than I've ever felt in my entire life. And I mean that. This movie means a lot to me. Mark and the other writers absolutely did a phenomenal job on writing the movie and how it was playing out. I have never seen any other reveals and foreshadowing portrayed and set up as good as this movie. All of the other movies I've seen that has foreshadowing are obvious and you can see them from a mile away, and when they come up the reveal doesn't mean anything and you don't feel anything from it. But every reveal in this movie was important. They're first set up as minor things that you don't pay attention to, you might not even notice. Towards the middle end of the movie, they become a really, really big deal, really, really important. The reveal is heart-dropping, and it makes your hair stand on end and your blood go cold from how well the reveals are set up and introduced and played. I've never seen a movie written better than this. Both of Simon's and Ava's acting was the most real acting I've ever seen. They put their whole soul into that performance, and I felt every single drop of emotion from both of them. It put me in the shoes of the characters. No other movie has ever made me feel any type of emotion at all, let alone what they're feeling. The acting of Simon and Ava are just absolutely incredible. Set was super, super realistic. The lighting was absolutely incredible. These other movies, Hollywood movies, are super, super bright in contrast, where you can see every single tiny detail and it looks fake. It looks like a green screen. It looks like a stage play. It just looks like a cheesy prop for a stage. But the set for Iron Lung made me feel like I was in the SM-13. It made me feel like I was there with Simon. And again, with Mark's acting, he did such a good job, and I actually felt like I was going to die with him. And no other movie has ever made me experience the emotions and the situation that the characters were in literally any other movie. I've never felt that before. I think the thing I love most about Iron Lung is that scenes are allowed to breathe. Other movies just don't even include things, or they show them for 2 seconds and then split past it and it's not even important. In Iron Lung, there's a few scenes that I'm thinking of. The first scene is where he's resting his hand on the throttle, getting ready to go, and blood leaks from the ceiling and it lands on his hand, and he stares at it for a second, and he wipes it on his pants, and then he continues on. No other movie would have even thought of including that scene. That scene is allowed to breathe and show that Simon is here in the sub, experiencing everything that's going on, and it shows that he is human. There is so much raw and genuine emotion portrayed and put out by the actors. Mark especially, and towards the end, Ava, her character, she starts screaming and begging and pleading for Simon to listen, and I felt extreme desperation and fear in her voice. And I've never connected or felt the emotions that the characters were feeling in any other movie ever. We don't cut from action scene to monster attack to action scene. We go through the whole movie following Simon's small relentless actions of trying to survive and trying to please the CIO. We need to stay with characters in movies throughout their whole journey, not just the big action scenes. Half of the movie is just sitting in silence with Simon as things go wrong around him and him dealing with being left alone and forced to do this. We see real emotion in how these events are affecting the characters. Most movies won't even show that, and they mainly only show the big action scenes. No other movie shows the raw emotion, the human side of the characters. It's always the big hero fighting the bad guy and they win and they're happy in the end. Never see the characters go through hard times with their emotions and then fight through it. There are so many moments in the first half of the movie that foreshadow the last half of the movie. And they're so tiny and minute details that you don't even notice until like a second or third watch through. There is a scene where all of his systems are failing and the glass cracks, blood seeps in, and then it sprays him in the face with a line across his face. He wipes it off. And towards the end of the movie, as the monster is taking over the ship, the growth that envelops him is the same shape in the same area as the line of the blood that spat at him earlier in the movie. The crack in the window is in the shape of a tree, which was very, very, very important to humanity. He was in charge of taking the last piece of it, and the tree died. He finds in a secret glove compartment in the computer in the back of the ship, he finds the last piece of the tree, and that is very, very, very important to him, and you can see it because he starts crying about it, and he holds it close to him. Back in the glass is in the shape of the tree, but its leaves are all fallen off. It's a dead tree. It symbolizes that there is no hope left, and that he won't survive. Another genius foreshadowing moment is when he's absolutely struggling to keep the camera on because it's his only source of light besides a tiny pin light on his vest. He needs light to work on the computer and around the ship. He keeps having to struggle behind him to turn the light on for only 10 seconds. So he uses an entire box of medical tape, and he puts an X of tape on the button to hold it still. Ends up using the entire roll, so it doesn't even work. Towards the end of the movie, the monster is growing over the ship and enveloping it with his veins and its organs. Veins grow over the button, the flash button, in an X pattern, like he did earlier in the movie, like he was desperately trying to keep the camera on, and now the monster is trying to desperately keep it on, so it's forcing Simon to look at it to know the truth. Tiny detail I noticed in my second time watching through is when the fire breaks out and he takes care of it, and then the radio keeps going on and breach. He smashes the radio to get it to shut up, because he's dealing with enough as it is. Later on, when he finds the SM-8, there's voices on the radio that start going off and talking to him, asking for help. He smashed the radio, so it shouldn't be working. What I noticed is the light isn't flashing. It only revealed that the radio wasn't working, and the wire wasn't even connected in the first place later on. The light wasn't flashing, so that should have been our first hint that that voice on the radio wasn't trustworthy at all. It was dangerous and a red flag and a lure to a trap. Another warning sign with that is the voices on the radio, the speaker. They didn't sound right. They sounded scary and monstrous. We're just expecting it to sound like that because their speaker is broken, so it must sound weird. But when it's revealed that the wire wasn't even connected, the voices still go on, and it's revealed then that it's been a ploy this whole time. Another absolutely genius foreshadowing reveal hint that things were wrong from the very beginning is literally the opening scene where Simon is flipping through the manual. On the very front cover, the first page, it says SM-8, and then it's crossed out and it says 13 above it. Should have been our first hint that this wasn't the first submersible sent down. This wasn't the test. Every single reveal of something that wasn't true or something that was a trap, something that was going to put Simon in danger, literally made my heart drop and made me feel immense dread and fear. No other movie has ever made me feel anything before, and this movie made me literally feel everything. Made me feel the most I've ever felt in my life. And the music in this movie, absolutely, absolutely incredible, and it helps the scenes for once. Music in other movies are always the same droning beats, and they take away from the scene, they pull you out of it. It doesn't add to the scene at all. The reason why big movies add music to scenes anyways is to build suspense, because the scene by itself doesn't have anything to it. The scene by itself doesn't give any suspense at all, so they add music to try to fix that, and it doesn't work, and it ends up taking you out of it. But the music in Iron Lung absolutely, absolutely adds suspense and fear to the scene. There's music for almost the entirety of the movie, but you barely notice it because it feels like part of the environment. It's scary, and it feels like there's always a presence with you that's going to hurt you. And the music is just, it makes this movie a million times better. If the movie didn't have any music or barely had any music, it still would have been super intense and scary, dread-inducing. And the stunts in this movie, the parts where Simon Mark is getting thrown around the sub, it looks real. It doesn't look like he's on a green screen and wires and landing on pads. It looks like he's actually slamming against the walls and the floor of the sub, and it looks extremely painful and real. The makeup that they did for Simon's wounds is absolutely incredible and actually looks realistic. It doesn't look like a prosthetic just stuck on with a little bit of makeup on it. It looks like it's actually growing over him, and his bruises look real. There will never be a movie like this, ever. Most real feeling movie I've ever seen. This movie has induced far, far more intense emotions in me that I've ever felt in my life, and every other movie doesn't even come close. No other movie has made me feel emotions besides this movie. This movie is honestly really beautiful. The way the scenes are set up, the camera's set up, the lighting, and the dialogue is really, really just, it's better than anything I've ever seen. At the end, where Simon is being consumed, overtaken by the monster, and he's trying desperately, trying to get the box underneath the deck of the ship where all of the files that could save humanity are on. He has to swim through a narrow passage like this that's filling with blood as he's going down it, and he doesn't have any light. So he's trying to get the box, and he makes it out, and he gets thrown around the sub by the monster because the monster is trying to stop him. He lands on a pipe, and the monster's veins on the inside of the ship grow over him, and he has to rip off his arm to escape. And the practical effects for that was better than anything I've ever seen. That was the best amputation I've ever seen in a movie. It wasn't a direct clean cut and then spraying blood everywhere. You can actually see his bone move under his muscle and pull out of the socket. Again, Mark's acting. You can see that he's in absolute shock and terror because he just ripped off his arm. I noticed in my second watch of the movie that the arm that he ripped off was the arm that he tied the last piece of the tree to. After that, the monster started screaming at him like, "What have you done? You ruined everything." I feel like the tree is able to defeat and weaken the monster. That's why it was so angry and scared when he took off his arm that was attached to the leaf. And I noticed at the end of the movie, when he was getting overtaken and grown over and drowning in the blood, that there was an explosion, and then there was roots and leaves and tree branches exploding out from the center of the ship. The big wide shot of the monster eating the ship, there's like trees shooting through the monster. So I think all the weird structures under the water are trees. That's just what I think. This movie's just, it's beautifully shot. They actually account in physics and real life things that would happen in the movie. Like the first time that the only time that he got pulled up, Ava had to keep wiping off the blood of the window to talk to him and to see him in the sub. No other movie would have done that. They just would have wiped off once and then it would have been fine. He's been moving in the bottom of the ocean of blood for like half an hour, and one wipe isn't going to clean the window. There's gallons and gallons of blood on top of the sub still, and it's still pouring down in front of the window, and she has to keep wiping it down to see him. And tiny details like that can make or break a movie of the realism and just the immersion of it. There will never be another movie like this. Unless Mark makes Iron Lung 2. But this is the most emotional, realistic movie I've ever seen, and there will be nothing like it ever. I think this is the most realistic, emotional movie ever made. And the way that the monster is portrayed is absolutely terrifying and actually feels like a threat. The monsters in other movies are just flat and plain, and they're emotionless, and they don't feel like a threat at all because you know the hero's gonna win in the end. Monsters aren't intelligent at all. They're just out to kill in those movies. This monster is intelligent and it's toying with Simon the entire movie. And once it reveals itself, it just becomes a godlike threat and actually feels like a threat. It feels like you're in danger. It feels like there is no hope for you surviving this monster. And the scene where Simon throws up after he gets done being in the blood dimension with the monster, the god, once he throws up, he's actually throwing up. That's the most realistic vomiting I've ever seen in a movie. See someone throw up in a movie, and then they wipe their mouth and they're completely fine and unfazed after. Throwing up is a traumatic experience for your body. And you're not just gonna throw up, wipe your mouth, and get up and be fine and go on with your day. I can tell from Mark's acting that part of it, he was actually throwing up. Like, his body was tensing and convulsing and he was coughing from it. And again, Mark's acting, he's always in shock and in fear and extreme desperation throughout the entire movie, and you can feel the real emotion, raw emotion from him. I've never felt emotions this raw and real in my life. I probably never will. And this movie is just absolutely beautiful. And I've been dreaming of a movie like this for years. This is literally the most perfect movie I could ask for. I've been needing to feel something like this, something real and emotional, for a long time. This is the most perfect story writing, foreshadowing, acting, set design, lighting effects, framework. This is the best thing that I've ever seen, and is the best thing that's ever happened to me. Like I've said, I've literally been dreaming of a movie like this for my entire life. I've been needing something real like this for my entire life. No other movie or book or anything has ever been able to give that to me, and of course it's Markiplier that does it. I've only been able to get this raw, real emotion from stories only from Mark. Like, Who Killed Markiplier did it first, a little bit at the end. No other movie takes its time to breathe and focus on these small human moments. This movie does all of that. I can literally go on and on about how perfect and beautiful this movie is, but I'm already at 25 minutes, so this movie allows us to sit and breathe with the characters and have small, quiet moments with them and experience everything that they are feeling. No other movie has ever done that. Ending the video now, I just want to say thank you, Mark, for everything. Thank you for everything. It is because of you, specifically when Who Killed Markiplier came out, I wanted to be a part of a project like that. I knew I wanted to be like an actor or director, writer, costume designer, prop designer, cameraman, whatever. Because of you, I realized I wanted to be part of story making. It is because of this movie, it's the most real I've ever felt in a long time. So thank you, Mark. Thank you for everything. If you're watching this. Bye-bye.